Boker Tov, Rabbi.
Shalom, shalom. It was great seeing everybody last night.
Mhm.
So today we're going to learn two short halachot, which I think are 100% connected. That's why Rabbi Melamed put them one after the other. The first one is about a thermostat, and the second one is about opening and closing other appliances that might change their actual operation based on the fact that we opened or closed a door. So in the time of the Talmud, they talked about not opening the cover of an oven. In those days, the oven was outside, and I think we saw some pictures earlier on of how they would cover it with mud or pottery that was thin enough that you could break it. So as long as the holes were covered completely and there would not be any change in their operation based on a sudden boost of oxygen, and that's why they already discussed it. Today, of course, we have electricity, so this here is what is most common in Israel for individual rooms. So this way, you don't have to heat the whole house if some of the bedrooms are not used. It's an oil-filled radiator, and here on the top there's a little dial. Unfortunately, it's in centigrade instead of Fahrenheit, but it's approximately 75 Fahrenheit. And you turn on the dial and you set it to what you want it to be. So with this electrical one, that's not really what we're talking about on Shabbat because we're not allowed to change something that's written. But in most other radiators, at least the ones that I used to have, it's just the dial and it raises the temperature or extends the temperature time. So this is just a few more like that. And so let's see what Rabbi Melamed says about this. And by the way, thermostat was invented already in 1860s to heat a chicken coop by some British guy. Well, anyway, so the laws of a thermostat. Oh, so the meaning of the word thermostat means thermo is hot in Latin, and stat from the word statistics, meaning that the setting. So the laws of a thermostat controls are the same as those of an electric timer. Some poskim maintain that one may not adjust a thermostat. According to Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach and others, one may change the setting if it will lead to the extension of the current state. So just like we saw last week about Shon Shabbat, a Shabbos clock, that you can extend the situation the way it is now. So lengthening the time that it'll be on or lengthening the time that it'll be off while it's off, as opposed to changing it and shortening it. So, for example, if one set the thermostat of an electric oil-filled radiator to medium before Shabbat, but on Shabbat realizes that it is hotter than he had expected, he may lower the setting of the thermostat once it has switched the radiator off. Thus, he ensures that the radio will remain off for a longer period of time, and the heating element will work for a shorter period of time. However, one may not lower the thermostat while the radiator is on, because this changes the current state by causing the heating element to cycle off sooner. If during the course of Shabbat one wants a radiator to stay on for longer, because again it's the opposite example where it's colder than they expected, you must wait until the radiator has cycled on and the temperature of the radiator has reached at least Yad Soletzbo, at least 71 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not sure why it says Celsius. And then he may turn up the thermostat so that, oh, sorry, maybe. I thought that Yadzub was 45, but I don't know. Sorry. Then he may turn up the thermostat so that the radiator will stay on for longer. However, if he does this when the temperature is below Yadzub, he transgresses Bishul because he is causing the oil inside the radiator to heat up. Once the radiator has cycled off, it is not permissible under any circumstances to turn up the thermostat because this will change the current state and may lead to the radiator turning on immediately. The same rules apply to air conditioners and refrigerators that have manual thermostats. When the compressor has cycled on, one may turn down the temperature, which will keep the refrigerator or air conditioner on longer. When the compressor has cycled off, one may turn up the temperature, which will keep the machine off for longer. Of course, all of this assumes that there is no display recording the temperature, so that picture that I showed you is not the correct one because it does have writing on it. However, if the thermostat is adjusted by pressing buttons to change the temperature, and this is shown in an electronic display, as in the case with many air conditioners, then it is prohibited both on account of kotev and because each press of a button makes direct use of electricity. And kotev is writing. And so, on that note of refrigerators, ovens, and air conditioning, so we're not talking about AI. I'm not sure what Rabbi Lamad's opinion is about AI, but Rabbi Gladstein gave a class about a year and a half ago, saying that if you go into a hotel room on Shabbat, that you already went in on Friday, and the AI already knows what temperature you prefer. He seems to think that there's a problem if the air conditioner turns on the second you walk into the room on Shabbat. So I don't know what Rav Melamad's opinion is about that, but I will try to find out from my brother. So, if opening the door of a refrigerator causes an electrical event to occur, one may not open the door on Shabbat. Most refrigerators have an electric light inside that goes on automatically when the refrigerator door is opened. Thus, if the light has not been removed before Shabbat, or what we used to do was tape it down, tape the clip, whatever it's called, one may not open the refrigerator on Shabbat. There are also refrigerators where a fan turns on or off whenever the door is open. These refrigerators and any with similar electrical mechanisms may not be opened on Shabbat. When we were in Shalavim, one of our neighbors got this little puppy, and they forgot to unscrew the light bulb before Shabbat. So when they opened the fridge and they realized that the light was on, they encouraged this puppy to close the door of the fridge instead of keeping it open for the whole Shabbat. But this is what we're talking about. And today we have Shabbat refrigerators and Shabbat ovens and stuff like that. So everybody should just make sure that they have the right kind of setting. In contrast, if has been ensured that opening the refrigerator will not turn anything on or off, one may open the door on Shabbat. Indeed, some permit opening a refrigerator when the compressor has cycled on, but prohibit opening the refrigerator when the compressor is off. My former brother-in-law was like that. They would sometimes wait for a couple of hours until they heard the compressor go off, and then they would open it, as opening the door causes warm air to enter the refrigerator. I think that it's unnecessary stringency, chumrah, but and that's not how I grew up. But like I said, my former brother-in-law did. Since the compressor is activated by an internal thermostat, opening the refrigerator may cause the compressor to go on immediately, or at least sooner than it would have otherwise. However, in practice, one may open the refrigerator even when the compressor is off. There are a number of reasons for this. First, it is unintentional. The person opening the door does not intend to turn on the compressor. Second, it is uncertain whether opening the door will cause the compressor to turn on, so it's sort of psik veisha velo mitkaven velo nechale. Like it sometimes could happen, but I have no intention of happening because the food will stay fresh either with it on or not, as it is possible that the compressor was about to cycle on anyway. Third, even if opening the door does cause the compressor to cycle on, this was only done indirectly via grama, as we talked about a few times, as opening the door does not itself turn on the compressor. It simply causes warm air to enter, which may in turn affect the compressor. But you could say also that if you're standing in front of an open door of a fridge for 2 minutes, then it's more likely. So it's you can test it during the week and you'll see that it's not always going to turn on. It simply causes warm air to enter, which may in turn affect the compressor. Accordingly, one does not need to worry about a case where there is uncertainty regarding grama combined with lack of intent. We'll stop here and open up for questions.